The richest man in the village suddenly fell to his knees in front of the poorest palm wine tapper, and what happened next left everyone completely speechless. Every morning before the sun touched the trees, one man climbed the tallest palm trees with nothing but an old rope, a rusty knife, and unwavering faith. People mocked his torn clothes. Children laughed and called him the Tree Man. Shopkeepers barely looked at him. But hidden inside the worn cloth bag hanging from his shoulder was something no one in the village could have imagined, something worth billions. The most unbelievable part was that he didn't even know he was carrying it. By the end of this story, you'll discover how one simple act of kindness changed not only one man's destiny, but the lives of an entire community. His name was Kofi. He lived in a tiny mud house at the edge of the village with his wife Amma and their young daughter Obinna. Life was a constant struggle. Every morning he woke before dawn, climbed dangerous palm trees to collect fresh palm wine, then walked miles under the hot sun hoping to sell enough to buy food for his family. Some days he returned home with enough money for rice. Other days they went to bed hungry. Yet no matter how difficult life became, Kofi always smiled. It wasn't because his life was easy. It was because he believed that if poverty took away his money, he would never allow it to take away his kindness. People couldn't understand him. How can someone with nothing still smile? They whispered. They laughed at him every chance they got. But Kofi simply smiled back and continued walking. Unknown to everyone, someone had quietly been watching him for weeks. One rainy afternoon, Kofi noticed an elderly man sitting beneath a broken shelter. His clothes were soaked, his hands trembled from hunger, and people passed by pretending not to see him. Kofi looked down at the few coins he had earned after an entire day's work. It was barely enough to buy dinner for his family. Then he looked back at the old stranger. Without hesitating, Kofi handed him the only bottle of fresh palm wine he had left and the loaf of bread he planned to take home. His stomach ached with hunger, but his heart felt strangely at peace. The old man accepted the food with a mysterious smile that seemed almost impossible to explain. Before leaving, he quietly whispered, "One day, your kindness will climb higher than any palm tree." Kofi smiled politely, believing it was simply a blessing from a grateful traveler. He had no idea those words were about to become reality. The following morning, while climbing one of the oldest palm trees in the forest, a tree no one else dared to climb because its branches were weak, Kofi noticed something wedged between two thick branches. It was an old leather pouch covered in dirt and dried leaves. Curious, he carefully pulled it free. Inside was a faded document with official-looking seals and signatures. He couldn't read much English, so he assumed it was an old piece of paper someone had lost years ago. Not wanting to throw away something that might belong to another person, he folded it carefully and placed it inside his bag. Then he completely forgot about it. Weeks passed, then months. Life continued exactly as before. Kofi climbed trees, sold palm wine, and returned home with just enough to survive. Until one morning, everything changed. A line of shiny black SUVs drove into the dusty village road, raising clouds of dust behind them. Everyone rushed outside. Children ran after the expensive vehicles, while adults wondered which wealthy visitor had arrived. Then a man wearing a sharp black suit stepped out and asked a single question. "Where can I find Kofi?" The villagers burst into laughter. The poor palm wine tapper? They mocked. What business could rich people possibly have with him? When Kofi arrived, confused and nervous, the suited man introduced himself as a lawyer. His eyes immediately focused on the old leather pouch hanging from Kofi's shoulder. "Where did you get this?" he asked, holding up the faded document. Kofi explained how he had found it in the palm tree months earlier. The lawyer's face turned pale. His hands began to shake. "We've been searching for this document for over 20 years, he whispered. Silence spread across the village. The lawyer explained that the paper was not ordinary. It was the original ownership document for thousands of acres of land. Years earlier, the land had seemed worthless, but over time it had become the location of luxury hotels, shopping centers, factories, and commercial buildings worth billions of dollars. Without the original ownership papers, nobody could legally claim the fortune. But now the missing document had finally been found. The lawyer looked directly into Kofi's eyes. "We believe you are the last living heir to the family that owned this land." Kofi laughed in disbelief. It sounded impossible. His family had always been poor. They owned nothing except a tiny house and a few farming tools. How could he possibly be connected to such enormous wealth? Then the lawyer revealed a secret hidden for decades. Long ago, Kofi's father had belonged to one of the wealthiest families in the region. When disputes over money tore the family apart, he chose peace over riches. He walked away from everything, changed villages, and started life again from nothing. He never told his children about their true family history because he wanted them to value honesty more than wealth. Suddenly, Kofi remembered his father's words from childhood. Always protect your heart more than your pocket. Only now did he finally understand what those words truly meant. But there was one final obstacle. The inheritance agreement contained an unusual condition written many years earlier by the original owner. The rightful heir would receive the fortune only if they had lived a life known for honesty, generosity, and compassion rather than greed. Secret investigators had quietly observed Kofi for months before approaching him. They spoke with neighbors, teachers, market sellers, and even children. Every person gave the same answer. He always helps others. He never cheats anyone. Even when he has almost nothing, he still shares. The lawyer smiled warmly and said, "Without realizing it, you've already passed the greatest test." News spread through the village faster than wildfire. The man everyone had mocked was now one of the richest people in the country. Suddenly, the same neighbors who had laughed at him arrived carrying gifts, offering apologies, and pretending they had always respected him. Kofi welcomed every one of them with kindness. He held no anger and sought no revenge because kindness had carried him this far, and he refused to let wealth change the man he had always been. Everyone expected Kofi to leave the village forever, build mansions in the city, and enjoy a luxurious life. Instead, his first decision shocked everyone. He built a modern school where every child could study for free. Then he built a hospital so families no longer had to travel for medical care. After that, he funded clean water projects, repaired roads, and created jobs for struggling families. The village that had once laughed at him now stood in tears as they watched their community transformed. Months later, another visitor arrived. It was the same old man Kofi had helped during the rainstorm. This time he stepped out of a luxury vehicle wearing an elegant suit. The villagers stared in complete disbelief. The old man smiled and revealed the final truth. He had never been a helpless stranger. He was one of the trustees responsible for protecting the billionaire family's inheritance. He had disguised himself because he wanted to discover who would help someone in need without expecting anything in return. Kofi had passed that test the moment he shared his only meal. The old man looked at him with pride and quietly said, "I didn't make you rich. Your heart did." Years later, people no longer remembered Kofi as the poor palm wine tapper who climbed trees every morning. They remembered him as the man who proved that true wealth begins long before money ever arrives. His story became a reminder that destiny often hides where nobody thinks to look, and that one simple act of kindness can open doors no amount of money ever could. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable stories of kindness, hope, and life-changing destinies, because the next story might change the way you see the world forever.